Like many creative disciplines, photography is a very nuanced craft. There are many different types of photography and there are many different ways to go about it. And it's often when we think about learning photography, we focus on the orienting of our camera, the settings, the editing, but never our own psychology. I'm roughly 5+ years into my photography journey now, and I'd like to think I know more than I did before. But strangely enough, a lot of the things I focus on now aren't how to position your camera type things. Rather, they're more about how to think and approach photography and creativity, which makes me think that the psychology behind what we do and how we do it can be more important than all of that other stuff. I think if I knew and understood these things in year one, it would have made my progression in my life much easier. So today, I'm going to share those things with you. Let's begin. Your photography improves when you stop trying to get good. A very counterintuitive thing about photography was the harder I tried to get good, the less I felt like I was getting good. I used to think intention and wanting something drove improvement, but they don't. They only drive action, which in turn drives improvement. But technically, I can want something, anything, so badly that it will kill me if I don't have it, but it won't determine whether or not I get it. Say for example, I want the Fujifilm X100VI really badly. It's sold out everywhere, resale prices are insane, but I really want it. Me wanting it isn't going to get me it. However, me wanting it, saving up the money, and then buying it is what's going to get me the camera. Does that make sense? The same applies towards getting better. Wanting to get better is only useful in the sense that it leads you to take action. But besides that, it just makes you feel insufficient and beats yourself up for no reason. Instead, take the approach of just focusing on the actions that will lead you to improve, like taking and editing more photos. Do that enough times and you will get better. Plus, your images will be much more natural, less forced, and you'll be able to capture moments better. In other words, your photography improves when you stop trying to get good. Invest less money in gear and more time taking photos. This one should sound shockingly obvious, but for many beginners, it's actually quite hard to apply. Because a big part of the reason why we got into photography in the first place was because of the cameras. We'd see all these cool cameras that other people are using, and we'd want that for ourselves. Plus, a lot of social media posts where people are actually showing their photography are filled with comments asking, "Yo bro, what camera or lens are you using?" Therefore, even though we know that the gear only makes a part of the picture, we still seek it as the solution for our creative problems. But the sooner you apply this mindset of, I'm just going to take pictures with what I have, the sooner you can learn more about photography, learn what gear actually suits you, and spend your money smartly. So spend less money on gear, spend more time taking photos, and you'll benefit greatly in the long run. Your photos will look good to some and crap to others. In my obsession to take nice looking photos, I realized something important. There are many ways to take a nice photo. There are many different appealing color grades, aesthetics, styles, placements, etc. And none is superior to the other because art is all apples to oranges. What that means is that your photos will look good to some people and look like garbage to others. And that's okay, that's simply how things work. If you know and acknowledge that, it means that you can focus on your aesthetic, the aesthetic you want to have, or the one you naturally gravitate towards. And in doing so, you'll find yourself much more at peace with photography. It's no longer about finding what looks best, it's about finding what looks good to me. You'll be changing your mind all the time. I think myself and many others are constrained by what we've said in the past. Meaning, we once had a previous belief about what we liked or didn't like, and now we're committed to liking that thing for the rest of our lives because we once liked it so much. This could apply to photography, a food or a drink, or just anything in life. But over time, one of the things I realized was that my mind changes all the time. Certain things remain consistent, but a lot of things I flip-flop on as well. Some days I'm sure this is what I want to be doing in life. Other days I'm wondering whether or not I took the right path. And some days I really enjoy photography. Other days I really don't feel like it. From the big picture, like why you're doing this, to the little things like your preferred settings, your mind changes all the time. And instead of trying to find the right or perfect solution, just be flexible. Be adaptable to your current preferences at the time. And don't try to hang too tightly onto any fixed idea or belief, because that'll only hold you back. It's okay to change your mind. Every photographer is different. A big thing I wish I realized sooner is that every photographer is different. Now, this sounds obvious, but there's a difference between knowing the statement and understanding it and applying it to your life. I knew people were different, but I used to still worry about whether or not the photos I was taking were worth taking. There were moments where I'd compare myself to others subconsciously, even though the comparisons themselves made no sense. And if you drop me in the same situations with the same cameras, there's no telling what kind of photos I could get. So I'd do things, for example, like take a random photo of a nice sunset when I'm on a trip. And then I'd look back on it later and think things like, well, it's no Ansel Adams photo. Well, it's not some special street photo that other people will look at and be captured by. Silly things like that my mind was doing subconsciously in an effort to devalue what I was doing, looking at the photo for what it wasn't rather than what it was. And as time passed, I learned to ignore this comparison because I just realized how silly it was. Why would I try and compare two completely different photos as if they were comparable? Why would I look towards other photographers as the foundation for what I should be doing? It was stupid because every photographer is different and every photographer takes photos for different reasons. Meaning, just do your thing, take the photos you want to take and stop fussing about whether it's good or not to begin with. Seek to create and find your photography specifically. And just focus on making your version of photography better and better. And don't trip about what your photo isn't because one photo can't be everything. Got it? Stop justifying your photos to others. An issue I used to have with photography and still occasionally have is that I always felt like I needed to justify my photos to others. I always felt like I needed to explain what I was doing, why I was doing it, and why it was worth doing. Perhaps part of me didn't want to be misunderstood, another part felt insecure about what I was creating. Even when making my photography zine, The Sinking Sun, although it was a project I'd been working on and really wanted to make, I still had to justify to myself why it was a project worth making. And I do this over and over, from photography to YouTube videos to other creative projects. When in reality, I should have just not worried about what I wanted to make and just made it anyways. I find this to be a common struggle for artists. Because a lot of our stuff is subject to the outside opinion of others, it's easy to look at your own work and do all these mental gymnastics around the quote-unquote purpose, when the purpose itself could be just as simple as because I wanted to. I made this thing because I wanted to make this thing. I took a pointless random photo of this pointless random thing on a street because. Just because. And there needs to be no other reason than that. You can do something simply because you want to or for the sake of making it, and you don't need to explain yourself to others or even judge yourself for it. It's life. Just do stuff. Photography is a battle with yourself. If I had to think and really give myself from the past only one tip about photography, this one would be way up there. I can't quite say it's the best tip because there are so many other important aspects of photography, but this specifically is something I think about quite often. Photography and creativity is a battle with yourself. It first starts with struggling to get the basics down, like settings, framing, editing, compositions, etc. This can take anywhere from a few months to a few years to really feel and understand photography. And once those no longer become limiters on your photography, you move to the next hurdle. That being your personal limiters, which are created by what you believe and how you think. If I'm feeling particularly unassertive that day, I won't approach a subject and get a good shot. If I'm being lazy that day, I won't go outside and take photos, even if the lighting and colors are great. And even if I just come back from a trip and took all these amazing photos, if I don't set aside time to sort and edit them, I won't. So from all the little things like habits that prevent us from taking better photos, to the bigger things like building and creating larger projects, it all comes back to you. You are the biggest limiter on your creativity. Your work ethics, your bad habits, your sloppy routine, your procrastination, your psychology. And both photography and creativity is a battle with yourself. Learn to overcome these barriers one by one, make them smaller, or get on their good side. If you can understand yourself, why you do and don't do things, you can optimize your actions and habits to getting more done, making things easier, and creativity will ensue. View photography over the course of your lifetime. Photography is a lifelong adventure. Early on in my journey, I wanted to get good, take good photos, make good stuff. And don't get me wrong, I still do, but I have a better approach to it now. After reading and studying biographies of people like Leonardo da Vinci, the common thread of many largely successful people is their journeys are lifelong. Meaning you have to view your journey as lifelong as well. And this doesn't just apply for photography. Zoom out for a minute and look at the timeline of your entire life. See the progression of yourself as you move through different stages of life like high school, college, jobs, maybe getting married, whatever. And pay close attention to how your perspective and mindset shifted as time passed. And then look at the future years of your life, the things you want to do, the next few stages. It could be trips to different places, different projects of different things, and even having kids or grandkids. Once you've done that, zoom back in and look at the current stage of life you're in right now. Who are you and where are you along this timeline? And based on these things, does it not make sense for you to be where you are currently? When I do this exercise, I always find myself with a newfound sense of clarity. I'm not as worried about the future because I understand where I am along this timeline. And maybe I'm struggling right now, but in the bigger picture, things will work out. And this applies 100% to art and photography as well. Learn to view the craft as something you're developing over the course of your lifetime. It's not about getting good now. It's about taking photos and living life. And eventually, 10 years later, you'll be pretty good and have taken many photos you can be proud of. So a long-term perspective, not only for life, but photography as well, can change the way you approach things, move in the world, and lower the rush you feel. Don't take yourself so seriously. This one might sound a little contradictory to many of the things I talk about. We often mention how to be more productive, creative, and improve in all areas of life. But a constant nagging reminder I give myself is to not take myself so seriously. I think this is a much needed buffer to counter the intensity of how I live my life. Because obviously I have stuff I want to do, things I want to experience, and a certain life I want to live. And adding that bit of urgency and importance to our lives can help us get stuff done, but can also put a lot of pressure on us. And it's important to remind ourselves that we are not the only people living in this world. Although our goals and paths might seem like the most important thing because they are to us, they make up a very small, insignificant portion of the human experience that is happening right now. Everyone is the main character of their own worlds, but their own worlds only. And if you think about it, we're all the side characters of someone else's world. Meaning your problems and things you're dealing with may seem big to you, but are insignificant to someone else dealing with a bigger problem. You've got creative struggles, someone else is dealing with cancer. Stuff like that. So remind yourself every now and then, don't take yourself so seriously, you are just a monkey with a plan. Let's bring this all together. Here are 9 things about photography that I know in year 5 that I wish I knew in year 1. 1. Your photography improves when you stop trying to get good. It's counterintuitive, but don't focus on getting good, focus on taking action and you'll get good as a byproduct. 2. Less money and gear, more time taking photos. Pretty self-explanatory. 3. Your photos will look good to some, crap to others. So don't try to appeal to everyone, just make what you think looks good. 4. You'll be changing your mind all the time. We're humans, it's normal. Don't feel the need to stick to the same opinions you had about creativity many years ago. 5. Every photographer is different. Stop looking at what your photos aren't and just focus on making your version of photography better. 6. Stop justifying your photos to others. Don't worry or fuss about whether or not it's a project worth making. If there's something you want to make it. 7. Photography is a battle with yourself. You are the greatest limiter on your creativity. Figure yourself out and all other things will result. 8. View photography over the course of your lifetime. Don't try to get good fast. Creative disciplines take time and it's better to see your path as a long journey. One where you're exactly where you need to be right now. 9. Don't take yourself so seriously. You've got goals, dreams, ambitions. Great. Take action, go for them, but remember, you're just one person and the rest of the world doesn't care. So chill out and live your stupid life. I hope this helped. I hope you found something valuable in here. Go outside and take some amazing photos. If you want to learn more about photography, check out Photography Essentials. It's free. And if you want to help support me, you can grab a copy of my latest photography zine, The Sinking Sun. Thanks as always for watching. Have a great day. Peace.